Hey guys, it's Simon again here, and today I want to talk about the topic of meditation. Specifically, how to get into it for people who have never gotten into it before, some basic guidelines and tools to use to get into the practice. Now, a little bit of a background of meditation. It seems like meditation and personal development and spirituality in general has been on the come up recently, and this could be for so many reasons, which we might get into a little bit later. Regardless, there's so much to it that it's kind of hard to know where to start. Different kinds of meditation, different points of focus, different postures, how long, guided, unguided, all of this stuff I think makes it very complex for someone who is just getting into it and just wants to start. My aim with this guide is to be able to deliver a basic instruction, just simplified for beginners, that will help clarify what meditation really is and basically how to optimize it from everything to point of focus to duration to posture and everything in between. So I've been meditating for past 10 years or so, off and on, for different lengths and different intensities. And while I am by no means an expert on meditation, I have picked up quite a few pieces of information along the way that I hope can help. Without further ado, let's get into it. So if there's just one thing that I want you to take away from this video before I say anything else, it's this. If you're struggling to get into it, if there's too much information, whether it's from other videos or from this one, you're not sure how exactly to start and you want things to be perfect, ignore all of that, and literally all you have to do is sit. For every day, set a timer for 15 to 20 minutes and just sit. No, it's not going to be optimized. You're not going to get as much of the results as you can from it, but simply by sitting, you're doing a lot of things. First of all, you're building up the habit to continue sitting, but also you're building a pretty immense amount of discipline, focus, concentration, and you're even going to start getting some insight as to what's actually going on in your brain, like what is this thing, and maybe even a little bit into what reality actually is, just by sitting. It doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure you're comfortable. I'm not saying just do that and you're good, but I am saying if you're struggling to start, the point is to just start, just sit. Don't worry about the thoughts in your head, don't worry about your posture, your breathing. Like, just sit as a disciplined practice. Commit to doing that every day for 15 to 20 minutes, and that's a very good place to start. Then once you've dialed that habit in and you have a better sense of what it's like and you're past the hurdle of just starting, then you can start implementing everything else that you've learned. But if you're struggling to start, just sit. So with that out of the way, the first point I want to talk about is what meditation actually is. It's brought up as this thing that is kind of cool, seems like a thing that someone disciplined would do, wake up early in the morning and meditate. Even growing up, we've had ideas about it in history class, learning about Buddhism and Hinduism and Taoism and all these other religious traditions that use meditation as a practice. But I don't think that most people have actually been able to define meditation to a singular definition. And without that definition, it's hard to even understand why do this in the first place. So I'm going to provide a very basic and simple definition to meditation. There's many ways you can define it, but I think the definition that I've come up with is going to be the most useful for a beginner just getting into it. So the way that I define meditation is the act of keeping one thing in mind as the primary focus of attention. So now we have a definition to work with, but you might be wondering, okay, that's great, we have a definition. What is it for? Why are we doing this? Why do we need to keep one thing in mind as a focus of attention? What's the benefit? Why am I doing this? And to that, I could say there's many benefits. Benefits including increased focus, relaxation, insight, emotional and mental processing, and a lot more than that. Those are just the basic ones. And depending on how you approach it, you can get different benefits, you can get more benefits. It all depends on your approach. So different benefits also stem from different focuses and intentions. Because of that, it matters to be clear on your intention while meditating, basically why you're meditating in the first place. So that's what we're going to talk about next, intentions. All right, so why meditate in the first place? Why are you meditating? What's your goal with this practice? Is it to impress someone? Maybe you just want to have like a sense of calm in your day, a period of time where you can relax and de-stress. Or maybe you want to go deeper into spirituality. You want to grow as a person. You want to gain insight on reality. All of the above, of course, are fine. I'm biased towards some rather than others. Regardless, the point is that going into meditation as a practice, having your intention and your goal clear in mind is going to help you direct everything you do from this point forward. As I said before, different approaches will yield different results. So being clear with what your approach is will get you to the results that you're looking for. To sum up the two major camps of people who are getting into meditation, I think they're easily categorized into relaxation and on the other end, processing. So people who get into meditation for relaxation, this is very simple. It's basically just to relax. This is kind of the main field of meditation you see online, where a lot of it is just to like zen out and to chill out, and almost like going to a spa or getting into a hot tub. It's kind of the same idea where it's just to relax and reduce stress throughout the day and live a happier life, generally speaking. The less common, the less known reason to meditate is that of processing. So this is in regards to processing emotions or processing imagery, mental thoughts, processing trauma, basically. This is what you can consider to be more of like a hardcore meditation. Not that these meditations are never pleasant, but that it's more of an actual practice. It's not like a relaxation session, although it can be relaxing. Really, this is more of a practice, like a workout. This is the type of meditation that I'm biased towards. Now, that being said, obviously nothing wrong with wanting to relax. That can help a lot of people, and just meditating for relaxation can probably solve a lot of world issues. However, the real potential of meditation lies in processing. Of course, the two aren't actually mutually exclusive. You can definitely get at least some of the benefits of one type by doing the other. It's more of like a thing that comes together where you have, the relaxation aspect, the processing aspect. They intermingle a lot. There are just two generalities that I've, observed. It's not like you have to choose one or the other. You're going to get quite a lot of benefit for either way just by sitting and committing to a practice every day. All right, now getting into the practice itself, let's talk about meditation posture, how to sit, what seating position is most optimal for meditation. So the number one thing is just to be comfortable seated, or seated is what I recommend to start with. Be comfortable seated in a way that you don't have to hold yourself up muscularly with tension, and you don't want to be using a backrest like a chair. The problem with muscular tension during meditation is that the strain you're using to hold yourself up is going to take away energy from your mental processes, which actually get you into the meditative state. So it's not ideal, not optimal at all. You want to be sitting in a way that allows gravity to align you and keep you stable, keep you upright without straining. This is going to allow optimal concentration, focus, and just processing, or whatever focus you have for meditation. It's going to be the best possible outcome. So some basic ways to get into this posture. The easiest ones that I've come across for beginners is to either sit at the edge of a chair, not with your back being supported, again, you don't want that, but edge of the chair, or you want to be seated on a stool, like a Ikuko stool. Maybe I'll show it on the video when I'm speaking. There's many ways to optimize the posture itself, but the main point is to keep your hips elevated above your knees no matter how you're doing it. Hips above the knees is going to allow for optimal posture, optimal pelvic rounding, so that you're basically held upright more comfortably. And yes, when it comes to eyes open or eyes closed, for beginners, keep them closed. This is the simplest way to get into it. There are meditations with eyes open, but it becomes a little more complex at that stage, and I don't recommend doing that. A really good resource to get into if you're interested about the posture is the book The Posture of Meditation by Will Johnson. He goes in depth as to all these different nuances of the posture aligning properly in the center, and it's just a good book to read about posture, and I'd consider looking at it. All right, next part of meditation we're going to look at is different kinds of focuses for your meditation. So generally speaking, there's many different things you can focus on during meditation. I think this is one of the confusing points for people trying to get into it. You can focus on your thoughts, your breath, your body, your lower dantian, a mantra. There's so many different points of focus that it's hard to know which one you should do, which one is like the best, if there is one. So I'm just gonna see if I can simplify it here for you. If your main focus is relaxation, which we discussed earlier, just focus on the feeling sense of being relaxed. Focus on that feeling of relaxation. When you sit down, just feel relaxed. Again, like when you go to a spa or when you get into a hot tub. What is that feeling? You focus on that feeling. When you focus on a feeling, it'll magnify. So if your aim is to relax, then what you want to do is focus on that relaxed feeling, and it will grow. It'll expand. When it comes to processing, if that's your main focus, there's many different points of focus to focus on, but the simplest is to begin by focusing on your breath, meaning focus on the passage of breath through your body in through your nose, through your chest, into your belly in a relaxed sense. And then what will happen when you're doing processing is maybe you'll notice an emotion pop up. Maybe you'll feel anger in your throat, or you'll feel loneliness in your heart. You'll notice that different emotions actually have a different physical location, and during meditation, these emotions will bubble up to the surface of your body, of course. In those situations, you simply put your awareness onto that point in your body, wherever it is, and then all you have to do to process is relax the area around the emotion, the sensation in your body, and just be gentle with it. Don't try and shove it out to force it out. Just relax with that feeling. Become as relaxed as you can with that feeling in your system. Resist it as little as possible, and over time it'll begin to wither away. And that's basically what the process of processing is. You process old and unprocessed emotions that bubble to the surface. All right, so another big point in meditation that people are often confused by is having thoughts during meditation. Whenever I speak to someone about meditation and they talk to me and they say, okay, so I want to get into meditation, but I just can't, I can't sit there and clear my mind, How do you clear your mind? And the answer is you don't, at least not in the way that you'd probably think. So meditation isn't actually about forcibly clearing your mind. You don't just sit down and then think to yourself, okay, I'm going to clear my mind and then block that out. Rather, a clear mind is a byproduct of meditation. There's so many factors to what constitutes a clear mind. Even if you have a really good meditation, your mind might not be clear at all. Having a clear mind is not really a good measure of progress for meditation. More importantly than just progress though, and measuring it, thinking to yourself that you want to clear your mind just aggravates the thoughts more and it makes you think more. It's like if you're feeling spicy in your mouth and trying to eat a hot pepper to make it like a more spicier object to dissipate the spiciness. I hope that made sense. That doesn't work because you're trying to counteract fire with fire. Now you might be confused. You might think to yourself, okay, when I'm sitting here and I think, just don't think any thoughts, then there's no thoughts. But actually, what you're doing is you're creating mental tension. If you're trying to block out thoughts, this is the same effect as thinking. You're creating mental tension, and that's the opposite of what we want. We want to relax tension. We want to relax tension so that the process can happen on its own. Instead, what to do is if you notice yourself getting into your thoughts, let's say your main point of focus is your breath, and you're noticing that you're getting distracted and you're thinking about something. Once you notice that, all you have to do is gently move your awareness back to your breath or whatever your point of focus is from your thoughts. So it's not about blocking the thoughts or removing the thoughts. That'll happen on its own over time as your mind processes. What is important is just moving your attention back to your point of focus and then allowing the thoughts to run in the background. They're still there, just like your eyes are always seeing things. your ears are always hearing things, your mind will always be thinking to a degree, not always, but you get the point. That's the mind's job, is to think. So instead of pushing thoughts away, just move your attention back to your breath or your body or relaxing, and let the thoughts run in the background. Let them process. Sometimes this is part of the processing, is letting your thoughts run. Let it happen. Again, this doesn't mean giving into the thoughts and becoming distracted by them. It just means letting them happen in the background, being aware of your thoughts while moving your main point of attention back to your breath or your body. One more thing to note about thoughts and imagery during meditation is that you're going to have a lot more of it if you consume media before meditation or any time when your subconscious is more open. So for example, if you watch Game of Thrones right before you meditate, you're going to be probably thinking a lot about Game of Thrones while you meditate. Another one that's often overlooked is before you go to sleep or right after you wake up. If you're watching a show or scrolling social media, all that content is being pushed further into your system. And guess what happens? When you meditate, your subconscious opens, and then all that material has to be processed, just like it would at any other point of day. Now you're sitting in meditation and you're not able to focus because you're just trying to process whatever you saw on TikTok that night. So make sure to be very aware of when you're putting content into your system, what type of content you're putting into it, and especially be aware of before and after meditation. And then the first and last hour of each day, I would limit or eliminate entirely all media content if you can. That will lead to more clear meditation, more effective meditation. All right, so probably the next question you might have in mind is, well, how long do I meditate for? The answer is pretty simple. Basically, if your main point of focus is relaxing, I would do about 20 minutes per day, at least 20 minutes in a session. And don't push it too much further, because when you go further than 20 minutes, you might start to get into processing, which I actually recommend if you're into that. But if you're not into processing and you don't want to go deep into yourself, then just keep it at 20 minutes. Once you go beyond 20 minutes, you're more likely to get into deeper levels of processing. Yeah, just don't do past 20 minutes in most cases. Now, if your main focus is processing, then yeah, you're going to want to do 20 minutes or longer. So in meditation, there's stages, and I'll go into this in just a minute, but the optimal times to meditate are in cycles. So you have 20 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. So if you're going to do meditation for processing, you want it to be for around that time. Not exact always. Sometimes you'll finish a process early or maybe a little bit after the timer goes off, but generally speaking, that'll be your baseline. This is because the stages of meditation correspond with stages of emotional processing and maybe mental processing and energetic processing as well. What happens is once an emotion bubbles up in your system, it takes time to process depending on your level of ability, depending on how deep it is, how rooted it is. Generally speaking, what will happen is when you're meditating, the last couple of minutes of each cycle, so 20, 45, 60, 90, this is when the most processing will occur. So what you don't want to do is, once you've hit one of these points, let's say you've meditated for 45 minutes and you've completed your process, you don't want to then start another process if you don't have time, because you're going to end up getting up early in the meditation and you're going to be working with the process as you get up throughout your day, which is not ideal. The important point with processing is to complete processes. This might be complex for a beginner, and I think I'll just leave it there. Basically, for now, start with 20 minutes, bump to 45 maybe if you want to, and see how it goes from there. So just one analogy to wrap this up: different stages of meditation, different lengths of meditation is almost like cleaning your kitchen. So if you're meditating for 20 minutes, maybe that's just washing the dishes and putting them in the dishwasher. If you're meditating for 45 minutes, that's like taking the dishes out of the cupboards and reorganizing them. Maybe you're dusting them. When you're going to 60 minutes or 90 minutes, then you're doing like a full-on reorganizing of the kitchen. You're washing the cupboards, you're cleaning everything. It's like a deep clean. Meditation, especially processing, is like that, where the deeper you go, the more stuff comes up, the more you have to work with. So keep that in mind if you're going to do longer sessions. All right, so when do you meditate? Of course, this will depend on your schedule, but what I've found to be the simplest is after waking up, I'll meditate. So in my specific case, I'll actually take a cold shower before. This will leave me feeling more alert, more able to get into the meditation. Yeah, if you do it in the morning, this is the time when your mind's usually most clear, most open, you're most able to process or even just relax. And the other bonus is that once you get it done, you have the whole rest of the day. You don't have to think about getting your meditation in. You've gotten it done. 20 minutes is nothing. It's very easy to do. You can wake up 20 minutes earlier, no big deal. So I recommend doing it first thing, ideally after a cold shower. If you'd like to as well, to get another session in later in the day, which is actually not a bad idea. In the beginning, to get more frequency is pretty good, like 2 20-minute sessions per day. Then meditate before dinner. One thing to note is that it's best usually for most people to meditate on an empty stomach. This is because energy spent on digestion takes away energy from your mind. So generally speaking, meditate after you wake up, before you eat, and then if you want a second session, before your last meal of the day or before another meal in the day. All right, another question you might have is in regards to guided meditations or unguided meditations. So in the beginning, and I maintain this, again, goes back to the first point, do the one that you're going to be most consistent in doing. So if you really enjoy a specific guided meditation, especially if you're just starting, then just do the guided. The important part in the beginning is to kind of get a sense of momentum. And once you have that momentum, you can kind of optimize from there. But the important thing is just to do it and do what you enjoy most. So if you enjoy a guided session the most, do that. If you really like to do unguided, maybe you're out in nature and listening to the birds in the morning while meditating, then do that. Do whatever is easiest for you to do. Now, when it comes to relaxation versus processing, if your main intention is relaxation, then guided could work for you forever. I know that guided meditations are often very relaxing. They're made in a way that helps you relax, and if relaxation is your purpose, then that's fine. Now, for processing, sometimes guided meditations can help you. They can guide the process for you, and maybe you're learning a new way of processing, a new type of meditation. That's great. But I've found personally anyway that you're going to need at least some amount of unguided meditation to really get deeper into yourself. At a certain point, if you just use a guided meditation over and over again, you're kind of missing out on the ability to look inwards, look deeper, and to get deeper into yourself. So I'd recommend, if your main intention is processing, to actually practice unguided meditation more than guided. Although you can still use guided meditations from time to time if they help you. One note as well is during meditation, no music. So music, you might think it helps you and helps you process, helps you relax. Maybe in daily life, that's great. But during meditation, it's just a distraction. So don't use it. If it's loud in your area and you want something to block out the noise, you can use earplugs, or you can use binaural beats with like a nature sound in the background. So like binaural beats with a waterfall in the background. Something like that. Something simple, but no music. All right, so that's the basic practice of meditation simplified, I hope. Some take-home points that are often forgotten. The first one is simply carrying meditation into your day. So oftentimes people will meditate, then they'll get up and they'll go about their day as if nothing ever happened. To me, this is largely throwing away your practice. The whole point of meditation is so that it impacts the rest of your life. So if you're going to meditate and then get up and then forget that it ever happened, this is like eating a salad and then going afterwards and eating a burger and saying that you're healthy. You want to bring the practice of meditation into your daily life. That doesn't mean sitting down randomly and meditating. It means, for example, if you're meditating to relax, then see if you can bring that sense of relaxation into your day. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be more difficult, but see if you can do that. If your main intention is to process, then spend like 10 or 20% of your attention towards processing. Don't just walk about your day not noticing, not being aware of how you feel. Be keenly aware of how you feel, just on a smaller degree than you would if you were meditating. So the point is basically not to just ignore meditation once it's done, but to gently bring it into the rest of your day as you live your life. This is where the actual benefit of meditation happens, not just by meditating, but by becoming meditative in your daily life. All right, that's pretty much all of what I wanted to say. Meditation can be a very complex topic, and this is one of my first videos, so I know that I could have done it better, and maybe in the future I'll release a more updated version, a more precise version. But this is a lot of information that I've learned as I've been meditating the past 10 or so years. Ups and downs, different intensities. I've been to retreats. Not a beginner. I'm also not an expert. This is just my take on what I've learned so far. Just a take-home point, I would like to touch upon the deeper potential of meditation. So I mentioned earlier how I'm biased towards processing as the main focus, and I wanted to add to that, while I do believe it's great to get into meditation for any purpose, really, I do think it'll change your life, even if you're just doing it to relax a little more, I still think it's worth knowing the full potential of what's possible. So I'll just leave it with this. Meditation isn't about finding peace, it's about fighting dragons, through which your capacity for peace increases. So that might not make any sense if you haven't meditated before or you haven't gone deep into meditation, but really what's possible is going into the dark depths of yourself and fighting demons, fighting dragons, conquering them, riding them, becoming a bigger person, a better person, a stronger person. That's what's possible. I probably haven't proven that in this video, but I just wanted to say that just maybe to excite you or, for whatever reason. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching and hope this helps. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and comment. I'll get back to you. I do read all comments and respond to all comments. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching.